Good morning and hello and welcome. So excited as always to be here with you guys. Today I was going to talk about something that keeps popping up for myself as well as for my clients, my friends, mentors, and I think most people, if we are honest, struggle with this from time to time. So it's not something specific for complex PTSD. But the thing I'm talking about is when we're trying to do something, a certain task, or work towards a certain goal, and we delay, we procrastinate, or there's that resentment there, or resistance, we just can't seem to get that thing done. Okay, that's so common. So I really want to talk to this a little bit today. So some common things that actually are underneath that, but most of all I want to talk you through a process. It's a 4-step process, and it's a process that can be used for anyone, whether you have complex PTSD or not. But I want to highlight a few areas where we want to pay some special attention to for those of you who have complex PTSD, okay? So we need to tweak things a little bit to really make that work for us. But I think the reason most of those things are happening is that perhaps the goal or the task isn't really aligned with us, isn't really what brings meaning to our lives. It doesn't feel important to us. It can be that, okay? Especially if you're a uni student. So I'm going to give a few examples for uni students today, because I've spent 2 decades at university studying and researching and all this, and it's very difficult for uni students to find it difficult to work on a certain assignment, and sometimes it is because it's a topic that is not of interest to you. Isn't that right? And it's just part of the degree, we can't get it around it. But there might be other areas in your life where you've been given a task. Perhaps it's at work, someone's given you something extra, or the school asks you to do something for an excursion or something that is not really aligned with you. It's not important, and that's why there is so much resistance there. Okay, it feels like it's an expectation from someone else, or a certain obligation, or perhaps you're doing it because you so want to fit in, that sense of belonging. Okay, you want to feel valued, you want to be able to get that sense that you can contribute, so you just do whatever comes your way. But then you say yes to, but then you can't actually do it because you can't come up with the motivation to get that done. Okay, so another thing that's underlying there obviously then is boundaries. Knowing where your boundaries are, and to be able to say no to some things is key as well. But the most important thing is the process that I want to talk you through. And I had planned to show you the books, but now the books are over on the bookshelf. But I read so many books on that kind of process. So it's most people have a 4-step process. I have met many trauma survivors who only do the first 3 steps, okay? And without the 4th step, it's not going to work. It's not going to have any effect. So we want to make sure it's 4 steps. Everyone calls them slightly different things. There's different acronyms for it, different names, different everything. So I just explain it how I do it. This is what I'm currently doing it, and over my journey, as I read new things, as I learn new things, as I grow myself, I change processes or practices that I use, so that they're not set in stone. So if you feel like you need to tweak something, then please do it. So just don't miss the 4th step. Okay, so some people talk about it in regards as in inner child work. There is a book that I wanted to show you. It's called Recovery from the Inner Child, and there is one of my favorite authors is Tara Brach, if you heard of her. She has a book on radical self-compassion. There's one on acceptance, and she talks about a process that she calls RAIN. There's an acronym, so R stands for recognize, A is acknowledge, investigate, and nurture. Okay, they're all kind of similar things. Or reparenting your inner child is another one of those. Okay, so let's just briefly talk through those 4 steps. And how we can make that work for ourselves. Okay, So first we want to actually recognize when this is happening for us, and that looks very different. Okay, for me, for example, when I go and have to work on, or I don't work on assignments anymore, I finished all my uni stuff, thank goodness, but when I opened the computer, there was already tension before I opened up the computer. And if I could catch myself that early, I could do the process then. Okay, that resistance, I could feel that tension. And then before I open it, because otherwise I probably spend all day being distracted, doing other things, reading up on stuff, or being on social media, not actually doing my assignment, okay? But if I catch myself early enough, I can pause and check in. It's like, what's happening? And really getting curious, what is my younger self experience? What emotions? Because the intense emotions that are coming up are usually not warranted for that situation. Okay, and so we want to check in what's been happening for our younger child there. What kind of emotions? And for me, in that example with assignments, there was often that fear of being humiliated or being ridiculed or laughed at. Okay, don't know whatever it is there for you, but that was a very common one for me. And that kind of, those strong emotions, or that fear has actually no place right now, because I'm at home by myself. I'm writing that. I haven't even written the thing. I haven't even handed it in yet, and I'm worrying about being made fun of, for example. Okay, so that emotion doesn't really make sense in that moment, but it does for our younger self. So we want to be curious. I bring some curiosity there. It's like, hey, what's going on there? So I can identify that emotion, or notice that. So we want to recognize that emotion. Okay, and then the next step is that we really want to validate that for that inner child. The inner child or younger self, however you wanna, or whatever you wanna call him or her. And because this has been true, okay, for us this is not some hypothetical anxiety or fear or things that actually really happened in our life earlier on. So we want to really acknowledge that this was really bad for that person, really talking our younger selves through there and being there for that, and validating, saying yes, okay, because that's a really key component there. And then we want to move on and really asking our younger self, what is it that she or he needs in that moment. And that was a difficult step for me, and one that I actually had to do a lot of extra work in, because I don't know about you, but my younger self did not want to know anything about me, or didn't want to have anything to do with me, because I was too pushing her down, pushing her away, criticizing her, and I had so much hate towards my younger self. So I actually had to re-establish that relationship first, and kind of apologize for what I did, and say to her something like, I know I treated you bad in the past, and I ignored you, and I didn't listen to you. And I've done some extra work now. I've read all these books. I've done workshops and seminars, and I know so much more now. I know now how to be there in a better way for you. And so I had to do a lot of work on that step before she would actually even tell me what she needed. Okay, so that might be you too, or I don't know, maybe not. But there's certain areas that are a little bit stickier or don't work so well sometimes for us, so we have to do some extra steps. And that's totally okay. Okay, I had to make room for that and allow that to happen, and being patient with myself, and just bringing curiosity to it, being open, knowing I'm going to find a way. I'm going to do re-establish or have that kind of relationship with her. So first we want to recognize it, then we want to validate that emotion, then we want to be curious about what our younger selves actually would have needed in that situation, because we have all these open loops. I always say an open loop. This is a trauma memory, something bad happened, and then there was nobody there for you. Nobody there for you to help you to feel safe again. Nobody there to nurture you or soothe you or comfort you. That part is missing of the loop. So we can't close the loop. So our hippocampus, that memory just does not get stored. It can't store it neatly in a file. So it keeps popping up in our everyday life, and it keeps interfering, it keeps disrupting, it keeps, we sabotage ourselves. We can't function in our day-to-day life so well, because we have all these open loops. And the way to close that loop is by giving our younger self what she or he would have needed back then. Okay, giving exactly that. And that this is key. You're the best person, not just best person, you're the only person who can give that to your younger self. Okay, no therapist or friend or coach or no one can do that part for you. They can help you in the process. They can help you, talk you through that. That's quite helpful initially, to have someone there to talk you through that process. But the actual doing part, to be that nurturing, if your younger self needs a hug, to be able to give yourself that hug and sit with her or him in that moment, and just allowing her to have whatever emotion that is, if that's what she needs. If she needs to have that cry, allow her to have that. If does that make sense? So we can close that loop and store that memory so it doesn't keep popping up when we're doing activities. I hope that makes sense there. So they are the 4 steps, and I think, let me just quickly check, I think I had a few more steps there where we want to be. So initially when we're struggling to actually become aware or notice when this is happening for us, there again it can help if you have a therapist or a coach or a friend or a flatmate, or whoever is in your life that is a nurturing person, essentially. Someone that has enough feel there that can do that for you in a gentle way, not in a criticizing way. Okay, so for example, if I know that I have an assignment coming up and I just can't see myself to get to do it, I could get a friend to, hey, can you send me a message at 2 o'clock to check in if I'm actually working on this, or something like that. Okay, if you're really resistant to getting other people involved, I have a huge need for being independent. You could also use your phone and set an alarm and type it in for yourself. It works always wonderful for me, because by the time the alarm goes off, I forgot that I set the alarm, then I startle, and it literally feels like someone else reminded me. But that can help there, to have someone there to actually notice that, or preempting it. Okay, so if you know the day before that today I have to do that task, then checking in with yourself, what is most likely coming up, what kind of emotions, having that conversation with your younger self, and doing the process even before it comes up. You can do that as well. Yeah, but I think it's really key that we really validate those emotions, because this really happened for us. This isn't something made up. To validate that, and then really spending the time being there for our younger self. Okay. And sometimes we're lacking the language. It's really difficult. It doesn't come natural to us on how to talk to our younger self in a nurturing way. And again, that can help to have some friends and do that with people. Like, for example, for the Thrive Uru community, we often do workshops, and that workshop was actually a very different practice to what I just shared with you there. But we could write down all the different phrases or things that we could say. So that really helped me initially, to have some little note cards with phrases to say to my younger self, because I wouldn't be able to come up with it myself. So I did that with a therapist before I got better, or got them out of books as well. Okay, that's a great place to get those things from too. But yeah, so I hope you give it a go. And let me know how you go with it. I'm always curious, because there's so many different practices and tools out there available to us. But when we start off, it sometimes helps to have a therapist or coach. But after that, this is something that we can do for ourselves in our day-to-day life. And this isn't a long process. This isn't like a whole therapy session. I can do this within a few minutes. When I notice it is coming up, it's just that listening, and then, okay, I got you, I'm there. That to our younger self knows that our adult, we're an adult now, our adult self has her best interest at heart, and we have our own back, so to speak. Okay. So, but I really want to also highlight that it's okay to reach out for help in those things. Okay, because I know. I keep saying it because that was so hard for me initially as well. But I also want to quickly mention that because I was talking about the Thrive Uru community, and a few people asked me, if I could make monthly memberships available. So I had monthly memberships available for the last few days. Today is the last day. So if you ever thought of being part of a group, I invite you to do pop on over and check it out on my website if that is something for you. And if it's not my group, perhaps another group, I really recommend having a group experience at some point, because it really helped me to realize that, hey, I am not the only one who is struggling with this, and seeing that and hearing from other people how they're dealing with that helped me spark some curiosity and some creativity within myself and some hope. Okay, so that was really, really helpful for me to have group experiences as well. Okay, so I think that is enough for me today. I talked super fast, but I think I managed to get through all my notes today with that reasonably in order. I often write notes out for myself and then I go in a completely different order, so it's quite funny. But anyway, that's me. Thank you so much for being here, and I will, as always, sending you lots of love and rainbows to brighten up the tough times just a little. See you guys, bye.